Hey everyone, Jay Whitner here with Kickstarter Coaching and our internet TV show, Crowdfunding Coverage. If you haven't seen our show, we try to limit it to about 10 minutes in duration, so we'll have to get started right away. In January of 2015, we had some interesting news on crowdfunding and a lot of big campaigns happen. We'll talk about some of the big campaigns. There were a dozen of them, campaigns that were $500,000 or more, which is a new milestone. When I started tracking this, it took $150,000 to make the top 300. Now it takes $500,000. Those big campaigns brought in about $12 million. The biggest campaign was called Xano, and it was for a new drone that we'll talk about later in the show when we talk about the 8 campaigns that we decided to choose out of the big ones. But first, the news. Kickstarter had a record year in 2014. For the first time, cracking $500 million worth of pledges in 2014. So Kickstarter continues to have a leading role, and congratulations to them on breaking the $500 million barrier. Indiegogo has also been doing a lot of interesting things, and they did some testing of what they call their in-demand program. And what this is all about, because now they've sort of made this an official long-term thing, is once you've done your campaign, if you hit your goal, if you want, you can continue taking pledges. So they're sort of blurring the line between traditional crowdfunding and e-commerce. So another interesting innovation brought to us by Indiegogo. Kickstarter has been using Amazon to process all their payments since Kickstarter was founded. But they recently are making a change and shifting over to Stripe. Stripe is a big payment processor worldwide, working with some of the biggest platforms on the internet like Facebook and other things. So Stripe is a known quantity, and we'll have to see how all that transition shakes out and how simple it is for backers compared to the old Amazon system. Back to Indiegogo again. They have announced a partnership with a company called Amplifier. And what they do is they are basically sort of a fulfillment, really more than a fulfillment house. They will arrange to make your rewards and ship them in partnership with people that have Indiegogo campaigns. So for any of you who have done a campaign or thinking about doing a campaign, the fulfillment part is very complicated. It's a lot of work. So if this succeeds to be a turnkey solution for people, for at least the simple parts, the coffee cups and t-shirts and some of the standard kinds of things, that'd be a great step forward in a simplification to help the creators get their rewards out on time. We are still waiting for the SEC to conclude their work on the crowdfunding for Main Street. Some people call it the Title III part of the Jobs Act. And as a consequence, states keep doing their own within the state boundaries regulations. Massachusetts is the most recent one that they've now done an exemption for crowdfunding within the state of Massachusetts. With I think that makes like 16 or 17 states that have made this type of an arrangement. Kickstarter has a big campaign running right now called Exploding Kittens. And what's novel about this is not just the fact that it's raised a lot of money, which it certainly has, but that it has the most backers of any Kickstarter project ever. Over 100,000 people have backed this campaign, which is yet another indication of the growing strength of the crowdfunding sector. So now we're going to talk about some of the big campaigns in the month. We try to pick out 8 that are worth talking about. The campaigns we're going to talk about range from a little over $500,000 to over $3 million. The video length this time came from 1 minute 22 seconds to 5.5 minutes. The current sweet spot seems to be about 2 minutes in length. The updates, which are a service whereby you tell all of your backers what's going on with your campaign and what's happening, they range from 2 to 48. 2 would seem a little skimpy, 48 seems over the top, so some middle ground there. In terms of campaign length, the shortest campaign was 20 days long, and the longest was 60 days. The current sweet spot appears to be somewhere around 30 days, depending, of course, on your campaign type. There are exceptions to every rule. And the reward levels. These campaigns had anywhere from 5 to 48 reward levels. This harkens back to something I was talking about the Indiegogo and their amplifier thing. Fulfillment is hard. It's harder the more different rewards you have to keep everything under control. So really think hard about how many you want to have. Too few is bad. Too many is very bad. So try to find the right balance when you're designing your campaigns. So on to the campaigns themselves. The first one is called Lantern. This is a cool gadget that gets information from space satellites. Sort of like you get your internet almost straight from space. Not the full internet, but they choose what they're going to send down to this device every day. And it has a big memory inside of it. So it has, data in there that you can access from your smartphone and other Wi-Fi devices. They raised over $500,000 with their campaign. They had 7 stretch goals, which is a little bit more, I think, than normal. They also have a big team, 13 people on the Lantern team, and they had their names and their pictures and little mini bios, which is all very good. And they had a referral program. You tell other people about the Lantern, you get credit toward getting your own Lantern. The next campaign. This one brought in $540,000. And this is sort of a translation from originally a Japanese thing into English. And this is a game type of thing. And this campaign had a couple of interesting features aside from just being a large campaign. They had graphic section of the rewards, which they normally have a text section on the right that tells you what's in all the different rewards. But fairly often campaigns, they have an area on the campaign where they show graphically what all the rewards are. So they did that. They had a cost breakdown of where the money is going to go that they collect from their campaign. And they had a PayPal payment option. Some people are not geared up to be able to pay through the normal channels, so they set up for a separate payment option of PayPal. The next campaign is Double the Impact. This is a campaign that ran on Indiegogo, and it's about Parkinson's, about the disease Parkinson's, and it's in terms of developing new cures, doing research, and providing care and how you can provide the best care, this sort of thing. Some of the interesting things about it, aside from them raising $500,000, more than that, they had matching funds of $250,000. That was how they got such a big campaign. So if you can set up to have matching funds on your campaign, that's obviously good. On Indiegogo, it's an option, if you qualify, that it can say verified nonprofit on your campaign page. Now, as far as I know, Kickstarter does not have the equivalent, but if you are a 501c3, you could certainly put that on your page so everybody knows. I think that helps your fundraising. And they also are in partnership. Indiegogo has a thing where different categories of projects, sort of they have like a curator, and they try to help promote the projects if you fit into their category, so that they did that on this campaign. This next campaign is quite interesting, Iron Sky, the Coming Race. I've seen a lot of people try to fund different things on crowdfunding platforms, and this is a movie. This is sort of a sci-fi World War II movie. And the image, it's hard for you to see, I know, but the image is Hitler riding a dinosaur. So for this movie concept, they raised through crowdfunding over $500,000. So keep an open mind about what you can raise money on. This campaign had some interesting features to it that I want to talk about. First of all, they had a lot of supplemental video on their campaign. Now, every campaign should have a main video. Occasionally you see campaigns that do not have it, but it's a big drawback to your campaign. It's worth the effort to have a video. They had bunches and bunches of videos scattered throughout their campaign page. Some really interesting things that they did, though. They created a board game about the movie. So that was one of their rewards. That's a lot of work to dream up the game, figure out all the rules, make all the pieces and everything. That's one of their rewards for this campaign. They also had a reward that was a making of book, all about the making of the movie Iron Sky, The Coming Race. So this is an example of if you're creative and you work hard, you can sometimes raise a substantial amount of money, even if the subject matter seems as if it might be quite difficult. These people pulled it off. Next, we have a campaign called Flick. Many of us have smartphones now that do all these different functions. You have to go through all this stuff on your smartphone to get to the function that you want. These are like pre-programmed buttons that sort of shortcut whatever your thing is that you're trying to do. So to use a simple example, you could have one of those buttons on your belt that you push it and your smartphone takes a picture. Or your smartphone does basically anything that's in any of your apps. It can be like pre-programmed to be activated by clicking one of these Flick buttons. So it's a neat idea. And on this one they raised almost $700,000. So some of the unique elements of this particular campaign, they had pictures of prototypes. They had examples of uses. And in this type of campaign, that's very good because it's a complicated idea. So they went over many different examples of how you could use their product. And they had a nice referral program that if you were already getting one of their things, if you referred, I think it was 2 people that signed up, they'd send you an extra one. So definitely something to keep in mind if it fits with your campaign. Next we have the Trunkster. This is a travel-related campaign. This is a piece of luggage. Some of the novel elements of it is that the luggage has a scale built into the handle, so you know if you qualify for the weight restrictions. Has a battery built in for recharging your phone and some other cool stuff. So it's sort of a high-tech suitcase. Some of the cool things on their campaign was they had a nice GIF that helped show some of the operations of the suitcase. They had 2 sizes of their suitcase they're offering in the campaign. I think this is significant. This is something that might apply to your own campaign. Would it make sense for you to have 2 sizes of whatever it is that you're crowdfunding to give the backer a broader choice? And they also had a setup on their campaign that if you want to get 2 of them, just send double the money. They explicitly said that that's how they were going to handle people who wanted to get more than one. Next we have the 3Doodler. You may have heard of this. They did a campaign, I would guess like 2 years ago or something. This is a pen that extrudes plastic. You can draw things in midair with it. It makes a 3D structure. So this is a new and improved version of that. They raised $1.5 million. Some of the cool things on their campaign is they had a classroom pack. There was a whole bunch of them with a bunch of accessories for a school to expose the students to this idea. They had stencils that you could get. So you run your pen along the stencil, and that's how you're creating 3D objects. It's less creativity required to make your object. They also had some cool accessories that allowed them to keep the base product price low, but to offer enhanced capabilities to the product in terms of accessories. The big campaign of the month was Xano. They raised about $3.5 million. It's pounds in this graphic because the campaign came from the UK. But the equivalent is $3.5 million. This is a drone, small, cool drone. They had good supplemental video in their campaign. They had a link so we could order the product after the campaign was concluded. And they offered their product in different colors: white, black, camouflage. They have one that's a glow-in-the-dark color for their drone. So just like the other campaign, they offer 2 different sizes for the customer to choose from. This campaign offers different colors. These are things to keep in mind. That probably the delta on your cost is not that high, but if people like a certain color, that's a big benefit for your campaign to help you to reach your goal. That's it for this month. We'll be back in roughly a month talking about what happened in February, and we'll see you then. Take care.